Let's talk jerky. Good quality jerky is rather expensive. 8 ounces can cost anywhere between $9 and $30, depending on the meat, flavor, whether or not you get grass-fed, grain-fed, and or organic. In this video, I show you how I make beef jerky. Hey everyone, welcome to the Burnt Brass Homestead channel. Jerky is extremely simple and inexpensive to make. I am making both beef and venison jerky. For the beef jerky, I am using ground beef. So for you guys on a tight budget, you can enjoy good quality jerky too. The ingredients I'm using to make the marinade will be posted in the description box. But there are so many good recipes available online, I highly recommend you try a few and tweak them to your liking. This is the venison. I am trying to slice the meat somewhat thin. The meat was fully thawed by the time I got to it, but it is easier to slice thin pieces of meat if it is partially frozen. I am not aware of any markets that sell venison in my area, so it is nice to know someone who hunts. You may even have someone in your circle who hunts, so ask around. And if you find someone, see if they would be interested in teaching you how to hunt yourself. With the venison sliced, I place it in a Ziploc bag and add some of the marinade. Then massage the marinade into the meat. It is best to allow the meat to marinate overnight if you have the time. Otherwise, a couple hours will do. It's now time to move on to the ground beef. I placed the ground beef in the remainder of the marinade. Now, in hindsight, I could have used half of this marinade for the ground beef. But I can tell you, there was not one part of the meat that was not fully marinated. My hands are out of the view of the camera as I squeeze out the excess marinade before placing the ground beef on the fruit roll-up tray. I know it doesn't look like beef jerky now, but stick with me. The final step will resemble the beef jerky strips we are all accustomed to. Now, in this video, I am making beef and venison jerky, but you can follow these same steps to make fish jerky, chicken jerky, turkey jerky. You can use the same marinade that will be posted in the description box, or you can switch up the marinade to something that best complements the meat you are going to use. I changed the way I placed the marinated ground beef on the remainder of the trays. I am trying to figure out which way I like best. For those of you who are interested, this is the Dehydrator. The fruit roll-up trays work for food that may fall through the slits. I could have set the ground beef on the trays with the slits if I did not press down to flatten the ground beef. I will leave a link to the Dehydrators in the description box. Now it's time to place the venison on the racks. And because the venison has bigger full-size pieces, I do not need to use the fruit roll-up sheets. I can place the venison meat directly on the trays. It is worth noting that you do not need a dehydrator to make jerky. For those of you who do not have a dehydrator, you can follow these same steps up to this point, in which case you will place the meat in the oven. Some ovens' lowest setting is 170 degrees Fahrenheit, 76.7 degrees Celsius, in which case you would set it to that. Otherwise, you want to set the temperature to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees Celsius. With the meat in the dehydrator, it is now time to set the temperature to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees Celsius, and allow it to process for 4 hours to start. You will know when the meat is done when it is no longer shiny or wet, and it is bendable. Try not to overcook the jerky so that it is too tough and snaps when bending it. But the best sure way of knowing if it is done is by using a thermometer. In my case, the jerky was ready after about 4 hours. However, the beef required an additional hour to complete. With everything done, I am now ready to store the meat. For the venison, I place in a mason jar after waiting about 20 to 30 minutes for it to cool. If you see condensation on a jar or bag that you are storing the meat, take it out and allow more time for it to cool completely. I am not using any oxygen absorbers, nor will I use the food saver to suck the oxygen out of the jar. The jerky should be fine for a couple weeks, just like this. No refrigeration needed. And finally, the ground beef jerky. As you can see, the meat is dry and bendable. It's not shiny, and it held together nicely. For the ground beef jerky, I simply cut into strips with my kitchen scissors. I also tried using a pizza roller to cut into strips, but the scissors worked much better. The ground beef jerky was stored in this Pyrex container for 2 or more weeks without any additional food preservation methods. Making jerky really is simple. Just decide on the marinade recipe, allow the meat to marinate for a few hours or overnight, then place in the oven or dehydrator, allow to cool, then store. That's it. And as you can see here, this jerky will be eaten long before it has time to spoil. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to help this small channel to grow.